Adam John Williams, how the devil are you?
Very good, thank you, mate.
So, you've been recently featured on Create Digital Museum. In fact, we talked about you on the Tonic Talk podcast last week. You sort of spun off a what do you take with you when you're travelling kind of thing.
Oh, right, yeah, on Peter Kern's blog. Yeah, well, this is a slightly expanded version of that, because that was the version that had to fit in hand luggage on the way to Iceland, whereas today it was train from London to Cardiff, so it didn't have to be quite so compact.
Be more fulsome. So what have you got going on here then?
So I brought with me, since it's a modular synth meetup, gone for my MFB Kraftswerk, which is a great all-in-one desktop unit. I don't think they make or sell them anymore, but excellent nonetheless. In that you can actually use it without patch cables at all, and that's what I kind of like when you want to. My mutable instruments are Nushri that I finished building recently, and a couple of other just sort of the stuff I really wanted to put out of the rack at home and bring, like theremin voltage source that I end up using for kind of filter modulation while singing, so that I don't have to look for a dial out of the corner of my eye and stuff. Yeah, Arturia Micro Brute.
Everybody seems to have one of these.
I mean, they're awesome. Patchable, tiny, sounds like something much larger and more expensive than it is. Korg Volker bass line as well, which, poor man's TB303. And then I threw together a little sync cable so that I could drive my Teenage Engineering pocket operator from the sync output of it, which actually works really nicely.
Is that that's the
factory.
That's the lead one, is it?
Yeah, so lead synth sounds, and it's got a little drum machine and stuff, but there's some great kind of chip-tuney sort of sounds. Quite nice. I find that feeding audio into it's not so great, but if you make a split cable, you can drive it from a Volker or a CV sync, and it works pretty nicely. And then Native Instruments machine that I use really extensively in my live rig all the time.
And live on the
and Ableton, and I mean, I guess that's pretty much it today.
So I asked VCO ADSR this. How much is pre-structured and how much is just on the spur of the moment?
I tend to go between like doing a jam and then doing a song and then doing just like another jam for a while and kind of alternating. Like I've got songs that are pre-written because I do more of like a sort of whatever the electronic music equivalent of singer-songwriter kind of stuff is. Like, but with kind of freedom thanks to Ableton to not play just like a linear version of something. But also at the moment I'm liking doing a bit of like a pop-up AV thing. So I bought a Pico projector with me so I can kind of trip people out with portable visuals a little bit, and all kinds of other weird stuff. And that's sort of.
There's also you've got two obsolete synths, not obsolete, discontinued synths in your rig.
Yes.
Obviously, with a workflow like this, we're by nature quite wrong. Conservative. I mean, when you decide to kind of go, I know what I could do. Let me try this. What criteria does it have to fulfill to get in the gang, as it were?
Oh man, I don't know, but I've sort of been quite spoiled in that I've built up over a few years a very silly selection of equipment, and so I tend to take a different set out every time. And like through what I do for my work at Music Tech Fest, I've ended up meeting lots of interesting people like Tim Exile and Beardy Man who have these ridiculous live rigs, but always in a nice case where you can take the gear with you every time. But the problem I find is I never want to take the same stuff. It has to just be able to connect with the other things I use in any kind of reasonable way. And other than that, I kind of like changing up a lot and taking different stuff every time to kind of make things constantly different and interesting, maybe for myself more so than other people.
And you're using a kind of traditional mixer at the heart of it, right?
Yeah.
And this is, again, lots of people have Firewire mixers here. Is that so that you can record
Well, yeah, so
ideas
it does
directly?
let me do like Firewire multi-channel recording. I'm not doing that here. It just happens to be the smallest mixer that I own. But I mean, yeah, it's, if you want to kind of do a live recording of something, what might sound good in the room at the time, not necessarily going to sound that great on a video later on. So recording all the channels separately is like a bonus for me, definitely.
And what's the Zoom doing?
That's just doing a recording out of the desk, but also of the room, so that I can make a video later and have a bit of, hopefully, applause, I suppose, or whatever kind of noise people make.
So you could repurpose the reaction if you need to.
Exactly, or I'll just cut my own applause in afterwards if it doesn't go down that well.
Excellent. Oh, thank you very much, Adam.
That's a
great gig.